What is up, guys? How's everyone doing tonight? Tonight I'm going to be covering a couple things. First things first is going to be the Mutation V4 by Indulgence. If you haven't got one, I'm going to give you a couple pros and cons on why I think you should get one or why you shouldn't get one. Recently just purchased mine. They're for sale at Unreal Vapors. Pick one up. We got them in white, silver, black, and I think copper? Yeah, we have them in copper as well. I'm going to be covering the Dimitri Box Mod. The reason I really want to cover the Dimitri Box Mod is, yeah, it's an old piece of hardware, but I constantly have tons and tons and tons of people. I'm like, hey, have you tried the Dimitri? They're like, oh, no, I don't know what that is. And I'm just like, oh, my God, you're missing out. Okay, so first, I'll do the Box Mod first. This is a clone by a Vogo. I don't think it's going to focus on my end, but you can tell it's a clone by a couple of things. The locking button on the clone actually works. You turn it opposite of the way that you fire. You can press all day long all you want. Your batteries won't get warm. Your contacts don't get warm. The device won't fire, which for a mechanical mod in the pocket is really nice. Now granted, it's very easy to unslide, so I'm not saying leave it in your pocket all day every day and walk around with it, but it's not like the Cherry Bomber where the button either doesn't lock or it auto conducts and auto grounds on any single thing that it touches, which is an extremely dangerous, not good thing to do. Pros and cons of the Dimitri Box Mod. Hits hard as hell. Really like an absolute truck. I'll tell you what, let me actually throw some batteries in it real quick and I'll show you guys how it vapes. Now, my problem with the Dimitri Box Mod is I'll go over this while I'm putting the batteries in the mod. Is this thing chews up batteries. This is just from one-time use, putting it in there. Look at that. Yeah, holy shit, right? A lot of people aren't big on getting their batteries mauled and having to get their batteries rewrapped every 3 or 4 weeks. Because eventually, it just gets to be a pain in the ass, one. And two, I feel like they could have made the copper contacts a little bit more forgiving inside the Dimitri, but, you know, cheap clone. It's actually the Avogo clone, too. I don't know if I mentioned that already, but most of the people I know that have the Dimitri purchase the Avogo clone because, realistically, I'm not going to pay $499 or some crazy number like I've seen for a mech box, and I don't think you should either. So, got one battery in. It can run off one battery. I don't suggest it, though, because most people who run mech boxes are usually putting insane builds in there anyway. Got my Dimitri labeled pair of batteries. You can tell by the ones that are completely fucking chewed up. Parallel box, brass, copper contacts actually, copper firing pin, floating 510, which is pretty nice for a mech especially. You just use the bottom. You get flathead screwdrivers. You tighten those in, and they sit just like this. Sometimes once in a while you have to take the guts out here though, and that just slides right out. But you'll take the guts out and you have to clean it. Magnetic door. Magnet could have been a little bit stronger, in my opinion, but once again, when we buy clones, we're not buying quality, we're buying trials. That's what I like to say. I buy a lot of my merchandise cloned, and I can tell you I'm pretty glad that I've done it, because a lot of the RDAs that I've bought clones of, I don't end up liking. And of course, you guys are going to say, oh, Rocco, you didn't like it because you bought the clone. What I'm going to tell you is, tell you what, I'll put A and B next to each other, and there's very few similarities and very few differences at the same time. Like, you know, the clone will have hex keys while the authentic will have Phillips, or vice versa. Beginning to really dislike Phillips head RDAs because the pins are backing out so much. But I'll tell you what, here's the Dimitri box. Any RDA that's 22 millimeters is going to sit flush. I don't own anything larger, but I can tell you that nothing else will sit flush on here. Top firing button. It's locked. Pretty nice, right? Let's take a draw off it. I'll show you guys how hard it hits. Pretty solid, right? Definitely nice for an all-day vape. Still, of course, the added inconvenience of it being a mechanical mod, so you can't really check. You can check your voltage drop with a voltage meter, but you can't really check the battery life. You can't see, oh, I only got 3.7 left, and I don't really like carrying a pair of batteries around with me extra unless I absolutely have to. But what I'll get back to, pros and cons of the Dimitri box. If someone stole mine or anything like that, would I buy another one? Yeah. Because between this guy and this guy, I love my mechanical box mods. I love that unregulated, just straight, heavy-hitting, home run, slam dunk hit that you get every time. It's incredible. Another pro, inexpensive, bought it from Angel Cigs. Pretty reputable clone site, has a USA warehouse. I paid like $34 for mine. Cons. Not regulated, obviously, but that's given. It has no battery reader or anything like that. Big con. I'm tired of this thing eating my fucking batteries. I don't like to curse a lot and stuff like that in my videos, but I can't stand this. Granted, yeah, it's inexpensive. Yeah, I can get it done whenever, but it's just like, I don't want to get a short caused in my box just because my box is shitty. And the thing is I'm griping about this, but at the same time, I've researched it, and the authentic Dimitris do this too. And their firing buttons don't even work. And, the age-old, the clone hits harder. In this circumstance, I believe it does 100%. I will agree with that 100%. Now, next. Overall verdict, should you buy a Dimitri box? If you want a good mech box that hits hard, do it. If you want to rewrap your batteries every 2 weeks, do it. But other than that, not too many bad things to say. The next thing I will cover, though, is the Mutation V4 by Indulgence. I love this thing. Look at how good this thing vapes. I'm running it on, it's a 0.4 build, 5.6 volts, running on 72 watts. And the way the juice well is set up in this thing, I feel like it gives you a warning before you're about to get a dry hit. 4 hex keys, T-posts straight across the board. Big gripe that I will say right away is these bottom airflow holes. Yeah, it's a cool premise. Yeah, the Freak Show's doing it. Yeah, the Kennedy's doing the bottom airflow. Don't fucking put them there. Because if you do, you're going to have juice all over your box. I can tell you, I've been using this thing like 3 out of 4 days this week that I've been vaping on it. And my mod just gets soaked. Granted, yeah, I might be filling my dripper up with too much juice, but at the same time, it's really inconvenient to have to carry around a cloth with you all day. I'm actually trying to invent something to cover that whole headache, but that's besides the point. Nice interchangeable clear top you can get, so you can see the vapor gather. It's pretty cool to me. Great, fantastic vapor production. I feel like it's a really understated RDA. I feel like sometimes the mutations are kind of looked over because even though they're authentic, they're really inexpensive. So people are just like, pfft. I know there's tons of guys out there that even if it's an authentic, they won't buy it just because it's cheap, which I think is a pretty shitty motive for the most part. There are a lot of good inexpensive RDAs like the Freak Show by Watofo, the Troll by Watofo, which I'm actually planning on buying one this week. A lot of people just give things a bad rap because they're cheap, and I want to go out and I want to buy the brand new super duper Warhead Hifley Do RDA. Has 9 posts, it's 25 mils deep, and it's only $400. But I've never used one, but it's expensive, so it must be good, right? But I'm not going to get off subject and just rant about me hating people buying expensive things. But the biggest thing I can say is with the Mutation, would I buy one again after I trialed and errored and I broke mine tomorrow or something like that? Yeah, definitely. I really like the way that the white sits. I just wish that essentially that they would have just covered up the post holes or just made them non-existent. A lot of these do come with these plugs. They're like a small rubber plug, but I don't know. I just think that you shouldn't try and band-aid an issue that's broken from the start. But other than that, that's all I really have tonight. Continuous things, make sure you constantly let your fellow vapors know about battery safety. Make sure that you always let them know that, hey, sometimes 20 gauge isn't the best wire on a little eFest battery and stuff like that. Make sure that your currents can be held pulse and continuous. Other than that, the next thing I'm going to do is probably a juice review from a third-party company. If someone wants to see me do a juice review from a third-party company, go ahead and drop it in the box below. Let me know. Or I was going to review my favorite, absolute favorite dripper of all time that I've ever experienced. And I'm thinking about maybe doing a giveaway, possibly, if I can get a bigger following and more people to comment. But I'm going to start running like some mystery challenges, like, hey, I have these drippers. Guess my favorite one. First person that guesses gets like a free 30 ml of juice of their choice. I'll help you out with that. I don't care. I'm still thinking about it if it's up in the air because of some financial situations going on. But other than that, spread my channel around. Let everybody know that I do quality reviews. I'm not really biased. If something's a piece of shit, I'll tell you it's a piece of shit because I'm not getting paid to tell you otherwise. But that's all I have for you guys tonight. And stay safe and vape on.